I just got home from work and I wanted to answer more questions before I go to bed. I didn't just get home from work, I got home about a while ago, like an hour and a half ago. But it is 5:45 a.m. and the sun is coming up and it's beautiful and I can hear the birds, which means it's time for me to go to sleep. I want to answer some questions. So, the first question is, you rock. How do you deal with having herpes? What does your daddy think about it? I contracted an STD a few years ago, and I feel like I could never have sex again. If it got passed to someone else, I would just die on the inside from guilt. How do you remain so positive and sexually active? I feel like it's important for me to say that STDs, like contracting an STD, is not the end of the world. It happens. It just happens. Most of the STIs that people catch are curable, and they're not like any big deal. They're like inconvenient and kind of yucky, but it happens. The majority of the people in the world will have at least one STD in their life. I've had 3. I've had chlamydia, I've had HPV. Chlamydia I got from my husband when we were married. HPV I got from my husband after we split up, because we were still living together after we split up. And then I have genital herpes, which I'm not really sure how I contracted that, although I don't think I got it from anybody else. I think it's just transferred from my mouth to my genitals. I've had 3. I've had 10 sexual partners. 2 of the STIs that I've had, I got from my husband, who's my second partner, and we're married and not married. So STIs happen, and it's not a big deal, and you want to do what you can to protect yourself against them, but sometimes shit fucking happens. There's also STIs that are transmitted whether or not you do use protection, so it's just kind of a risk you take. So I deal with having herpes. I don't know. Having herpes is not really much different than not having herpes, with the exception of I occasionally get blisters on my cunt, and even those aren't really a big deal. They're not really very painful for me. They're more itchy than anything else. You're so excited. Come here. Come here. You're also all wet. Were you rolling in the grass? You opened the door too? Go lay down. Go lay down. Okay. But it's not really a huge deal. It's just kind of inconvenient. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I really think the stigma attached to herpes is far worse than the herpes itself. It's really not a big deal. It's just like it's essentially just like a skin virus, a skin disorder. It's not a big deal. My daddy, he doesn't like that I have herpes. He doesn't want herpes. But he kind of just accepts that, in being with me, that there's a risk that he might get it. And he doesn't like that either. But it's just kind of part of the deal. I think he just tries not to really think about it. Like, he acknowledges that I have herpes, and he acknowledges that there's a chance that he could get it, but it's not something he's really trying to fester over or dwell on. We're just kind of taking it one day at a time and hoping he doesn't get it and doing what we can to prevent him from getting it. So, yeah, I understand. You said you contracted an STD a few years ago and you feel like you can never have sex again. That's not true. Because I have herpes, which is, like, very contagious and highly stigmatized. And I'm still sexually active. So, I'm sure with the right precautions, you can do your thing. I understand, like, being fearful of passing your STI to someone else, because I have to deal with that all the time. It feels really scary, and it would be like a huge bummer. But like I said, it's all about doing the best that you can, and when there's two people involved, and it's like a consensual act. I mean, and your partner knows about it. I'm not going to assume they're male, but your partner knows about it. Then, I mean, they're obviously sharing part of the risk. I remain positive just by being a positive person and trying to find light in things, and trying to be realistic, and surround myself with people who can see past, like, something as ridiculous as, like, an STI or whatever, a manageable STI. I can understand, like, feeling like you're never going to have sex again, because I felt the same way when I found out I had herpes. I was like, oh my god, what am I going to do? Because sex is something that's incredibly important to me. But it's really not a big deal. Just know that, like, you're not, like, some gross cootie haver or anything like that. STIs happen, and it's not a huge deal. You just deal with it accordingly and try to be as careful as you can, and just be open and honest with your partners, and yeah, I think that's my advice on that. My next question is, if I could come off anon, I would. That being said, is there a point in a sub-dom relationship that it becomes abuse? I'm in one with my partner, but he no longer listens to me. He no longer listens to what is too much for me, and he often doesn't stop when I ask and just tells me to obey, and I don't find it enjoyable at all. He's taken it from something enjoyable to something that is solely about control and solely about him having the upper hand. I find myself quickly over it and preferring just rough sex. Do I leave before it gets worse? Yes, you do. Because fuck him. Fuck him. Fuck him. Fuck him. Fuck him. That I feel like that's something that you absolutely cannot abuse. I feel like that's something that involves so much trust. And it's something that leaves you so raw and exposed, and just to be, like, completely disregarded and used in that way is just absolutely unacceptable. So fuck him. Fuck him. Leave. That's all I have to say about that. You don't deserve that. My next question is, How did you meet the friends you have now? Do you have any advice about making friends for someone who any friends list like me? The friends that I have now, to be honest, I have friends from middle school and high school that I'm still friends with. My friend Crystal, I've been friends with her I'm 26. I met her in the 8th grade, so I was 13 in 8th grade. So I've been friends with her for 13 years. I met Jessica when I was 11, so I've been friends with Jessica for 15 years. So I met them in middle school, and most of my friends I've met on the internet, through various mediums. LiveJournal, I met a lot of friends through LiveJournal. My Olympia friends I've met through LiveJournal, or I met through people that I met through LiveJournal. I'm not really good with making friends. I have a hard time opening myself up to people, just in the sense of, like, allowing them close to me. And people have a really hard time understanding that because, I can't see anything, I put my glasses on. People have a really hard time understanding that because, like, I'm so open and I can be so friendly and whatever. But that doesn't mean anything for me. It just means, like, I'm being talkative, and that's it. I'm incredibly picky with the people I surround myself with. So I don't really have very good advice on how to make friends. I feel like Olympia is the first place that I've lived since getting out of high school. I fogged up my glasses. Where I actually have friends, because I lived in Rhode Island for 3 years, and my friends there were more my husband's friends. I didn't really have any friends there. And then I lived in Minneapolis for a year and a half, and my only friends there were work friends, and they were my friends, but, like, they didn't get me. They didn't get me. I was like this weird thing, and they thought I was, like, so inspirational and just, like, interesting, and it's like, I'm really not. I'm just, like, not the norm of, like, your existence, I guess. Because I worked in Maple Grove, which is like a suburban town, rich people, blah, blah, blah. And I loved them very much, but I didn't really have any friends in Minneapolis. And then I came to Olympia on a road trip with my friend Chunk, who came to see me from England, and I had some LiveJournal friends here, and I was just like, hey, do you have a place we can crash? And they were like, yeah, and then we just kind of fell in love with each other, and I decided that I was going to move here, and now I have all kinds of friends all over the place, and so I guess maybe it's just about surrounding yourself with the right people, and just trying to find those people. I think that's the trickiest part. It took me living in 5 different states to find mine. So, yeah. Be picky with who you surround yourself with. Just because you have somebody, like some friends, doesn't mean that that's necessarily good for you or that they're worth your time. Sometimes it's better to be alone. I spend a lot of time alone, or hiding. You can come sit with me if you'd like. No, please don't jump on my computer. Yeah, I spend a lot of time alone. But I feel like that's something that's okay and accepted. I don't know. I like my friends, but I often feel that having friends can be something that's overrated. So just be careful. I wish I had some better advice for you, but I really don't. Try to find some light in like why it's okay to be alone. What's nice about being alone. Focus on what you like about it rather than like what you don't, or the fact that you don't have any friends or whatever. I'm gonna turn this off because I'm gonna go to bed. But maybe I'll answer some more questions tomorrow. I love you guys, and I hope that you're well.